Hello everyone, welcome to the video, Salt here. Today we're going to be taking a look at the secondary kit gun, the Sporelacer. Now in this weapon series, I take a weapon, I build it out, and I test that weapon on its own merits, meaning I don't mix it with any kind of external factors that would increase weapon performance. That would be things like Warframe abilities, pets putting statuses on enemies, things like that. I just test the weapon built out by itself, and I let the viewer make their own intelligent conclusions about what would happen if you add those external things. So let us get into the Sporelacer here. So the Sporelacer, I like to think of this weapon as a better Kuva Brahma. So the Kuva Brahma is an absolutely amazing weapon, but it has the really bad issue of ammo. It has a really bad ammo pool, and so unless you're playing extremely carefully or you have like specific mods or specific setups, it's hard to play that weapon. Well, the Sporelacer doesn't have that issue. You can spam all day on this thing, and it feels like a Kuva Brahma. Maybe slightly weaker, but just barely weaker, maybe not even. So let's get into the Sporelacer here. Okay. Well, it's a secondary kit gun. Actually, probably the first thing I need to do is I'm gonna come out of the build real quick, and I'm gonna show you the parts. So, because kit guns, you can build them as primaries and secondaries, and they don't always function the same. So keep that in mind. If you build this as a primary, it may function differently. I haven't fully gone over my primary Sporelacer yet. So right now, this video is the secondary Sporelacer. So if we look at my Sporelacer here, you're going to go with, of course, the Sporelacer chamber. The chamber on a kit gun is actually what gives you mastery. So if you're interested in kit guns and wondering, like, you know, what exactly do I get mastery out of? Well, it's only the chamber. You can use whatever the hell loader and grip you want if you're just trying to build it for mastery fodder. And chamber is what matters. You have to build one of each chamber for mastery. But if you want to min-max this, you need to have specific loaders and grips. So, my secondary Sporelacer is built out with a Killstream Haymaker. However, I would actually suggest, I believe I didn't build mine out correctly when I first built it. Granted, I built this years ago. But unfortunately, I already have 8 Forma into this. So I believe the best way to build the Sporelacer secondary is the Splat Haymaker. Although Killstream is like a minor difference. And actually, you might even like the Killstream better. So the Killstream and the Splat are only different in magazine size and reload speed. They do everything else the exact same. So as far as like actual damage, they are exactly the same. But the Killstream is going to have a smaller magazine, but a quicker reload. And the Splat, which I don't have on here, is going to have a larger magazine, but a slower reload. So that's why Killstream is an option. If you find yourself kind of like Call of Duty reloading all the time, where you're only you're reloading after like 1 or 2 bullets, then maybe the Killstream would be for you. But I think generally the Splat is usually the one most people go to, because you could spam it more with more rounds in the magazine. As far as damage, though, exactly the same. Haymaker's not really contested. That's always going to be the best one for, I think, every secondary kit gun. There might be like 1 or 2 that are different, but I think Haymaker, for the most part, is always the choice. Okay, so that's the parts that you're going to build out here. And now we're going to get into the build. So interesting things about the Sporelacer. The Sporelacer is going to fire these little spores. The spores are going to hit whatever they hit, whether it's the floor, an enemy, a wall. So they're going to hit whatever they hit, and then they're going to explode in a, I think it's a 3.7 meter radius. Let me see here. Usually tells you the range. It says 6.7, but I have prime fulmination. I think it might be either 3.7 or 4.7. So they explode in a radius, and then when they explode, they also launch out these 3 little bomblets, kind of like the Kuvas are, if you're familiar with that. So they shoot out like little bomblets after they explode. So that's what it does. There are different ways to build out the Sporelacer. there's a way to build out the Sporelacer where you're actually getting direct damage out of it. You're actually building it to specifically target enemies' heads. I don't feel like that's the best way to use the Sporelacer because it's not that easy. Like I'm on PC, so it's easier for me to get headshots than like a console player, and I've been playing for a long time, so it should be easier for me to get headshots than a normal player as well. And it's still hard for me to get headshots with the Sporelacer. So I don't think that's the best build. But if you think you're Eagle Eyes Malone, you could build it that way. So, with that build, you would use Galvanized Crosshairs, of course, because you're getting headshots and critical chances, and you just put it over Horn of Strike. So the reason people build it that way is because the other unique thing about secondary Sporelacer, actually all the Sporelacers, even the primary, is that Galvanized Shot is multiplicative on this weapon. So you get a little bit more out of Galvanized Shot. Well, you get a lot more out of Galvanized Shot on this weapon than you do a lot of other weapons. But another reason why I don't think that's the best setup is, number one, it's hard to get those headshots. So, that's difficult, number one. Galvanized Shot only works on direct hits, so it's not going to be giving you that damage on the AoE of it. And this increases status chance. Well, this weapon has a booty status chance of 13%. On a fast-firing weapon, you can kind of make use of 13%. You can put a status mod on, like Galvanized Shot, or maybe 266. You can boost it up to like 30%. And if it's quick enough firing, like you could at least get some procs out of it. This is not a fast-firing weapon. This is a slow weapon with a 13% status chance. So that's pretty crappy. So I feel like building it for headshots and status is not necessarily the best way, unless you are Eagle Eyes Malone making headshots on every shot, which I know I am not. So I'm going to show you the other way to build this, which is the big dumb way. It's the shooting at the floor and killing everything AoE way. So, okay. So, mods. Oh, the other interesting thing before we get into the mods, it's going to have Toxin on the radial attack, starting right off the bat. So, it says Corrosive here because I have Convulsion on, but it's going to have Toxin right off the bat. Okay, I think now we can get to mods finally. Yeah. Galvanized Diffusion for multi-shot. Sharpened Bullets for critical damage, because this thing actually has a base metric butt ton of crit damage. So crit damage is pretty much your best stat on this weapon. So if you get a Riven, I have a Riven, although it doesn't have crit damage, unfortunately. But if you get a Riven, crit damage is going to be like your best stat. Crit damage, then probably crit chance and multi-shot are about like the same tier. So God Roll Riven stats, basically. Multi-shot, crit chance, crit damage, value and crit damage more than all of them. So I'm using Sharpened Bullets for crit damage. The other one that you can choose if you're a little bit lazy, Hollow Point. So Sharpened Bullets is a 75% crit damage buff, and Hollow Point is a 60% crit damage buff. You get a little bit less flat on here, but you don't really have to worry too much about the flat. And Sharpened Bullets, you have to aim in to get that 75. If you find that annoying and you don't want to have to aim in when you're using this weapon, you can use Hollow Point instead. I like being lazy when I use the Sporelacer, actually. And in fact, I use the Sporelacer most of the time on Mirage, because she has her little clones that can also shoot it. So I like to kind of shoot this lazily. But again, this is my Riven slot right here. So I don't actually use Sharpened Bullets or Hollow Point normally. If I wanted to show this build with Hollow Point, but it's a little bit more expensive. So I'm just going to show this with Sharpened Bullets. It should be basically the exact same, though. This is crit damage, this is crit damage. Just for this video, I'm going to have to aim in to get at the value out of Sharpened Bullets. So, primary pistol gambit for critical chance. If we go to critical, there's another mod called Creeping Bullseye, which gives a little bit more critical chance. And I usually use Creeping Bullseye over Prime Pistol Gambit because, this is 200 and this is 187. And usually you don't notice that negative 20% fire rate. But the thing is, on a weapon that is already slow, you do notice that negative fire rate. So because this is a slower firing weapon, I'm going to go with the Prime Pistol Gambit that doesn't give me that negative fire rate. Prime Target Cracker for crit damage, because of course, crit damage is best stat on this weapon. Lethal Torrent for fire rate and multi-shot. Horn Strike for a 220 flat damage. Prime Fulmination is going to increase our blast radius, so it's going to kick it out to that 6.7. Again, I can't remember if the... actually, I can go to blank config here and just see. Okay, it was 4.7. So base is 4.7 range, and then with that Prime Fulmination right here, it's going to kick it out to a 6.7. So you get about 2 more meters of range on that. And then we're going to go with the big primed convulsion for corrosive. So we're going to get the electric mod here. So the prime convulsion is going to give us electric, and it's going to mix with the innate toxin on the weapon and make corrosion. So why the hell am I going with corrosive when most of my builds I go with viral? That's probably what a lot of people are thinking. And it's a good question. And to understand that, you have to understand the differences between... There's two different things with elements. There is resistances and vulnerabilities. That's one thing. And then there is the actual proc. Okay? Corrosive is better than viral at resistances and vulnerabilities. You get way more out of corrosive than you do viral as far as resistances and vulnerabilities go. The actual proc, though, viral shits all over convulsion unless you can use like unless you're using like the 2 green shards to get a full strip and you're getting 12 stacks of corrosion. But that excluded, just like normal corrosion that only strips up to 80%, the viral proc beats the corrosive proc all day long. So, because this weapon has a low status chance, we're not going to be getting the proc very often, right? So if we had viral here, we're going to get the viral proc super infrequently, right? So I would rather go with a status that has more power on the actual resistances and vulnerability side of things, which is corrosive. So that's why on this build, on this weapon specifically, we're going with corrosive over viral. The cool thing about corrosive too is that enemies in whispers are also weak to corrosive. That's the best status against whispers enemies. So this is pretty much your general build for all content. It's not like most builds where you would switch because viral is better on general and then whispers is corrosive. So this is kind of like your build for all content right here. Okay, next we're going to go with the lethal momentum for projectile speed. Now, the unfortunate thing, and something I wish DE may change, is that there are certain builds that have so many large and expensive mods that you get to a point where you actually can't fit everything on your weapon, even if you have everything formed. And granted, I know I have a misforma here, but it's usually my Riven, which is very expensive, that goes on top of here, and I'm still zeroed out. And so I can't have a full lethal momentum, which sucks. So I hope that's something that DE changes. It's like you go out of your way to fully 8 or 9 forma, in this case. 9 forma, I think this comes with 1 and 8. Or no, you get the 1 gilded. So, 9 forma a weapon, and you still can't fit everything, which I think is kind of crappy. So, yeah, Exilus slot, we're going to go with lethal momentum. Nothing else is really that great. You don't really need more ammo. The recoil doesn't matter because you're mostly going to be hip firing this. I'm going to be aiming in with sharpened bullets, but even that, the recoil is not a big deal. So, lethal momentum is your best because it'll kick out your fall-off damage a bit. Okay, and then we are going to go with the 2 arcanes. So we'll look at the first one first, which is the basic arcane. Because if you don't know, Kitguns can use 2 arcanes. They use your regular basic-ass arcane that you usually either put secondary Merciless, Cascadia Flare, or secondary Deadhead on. In this case, we're going to go with secondary Merciless. It's what makes sense. It's 360 flat damage, it's plus 30 reload speed, it doesn't require headshots, it doesn't require anything fancy, so we can just run around like idiots, shooting at the floor and getting merciless stacks. Cascadia Flare requires heat procs, we're not producing that. Deadhead requires headshots, we could probably get a headshot once in a while, but we're not really going to be trying for it, so secondary Merciless is just straight up your way to go. Now the second arcane, that's specific to Kitguns, is a Kitgun arcane. And if we click here, there are a few things I want to go over. So first, I'll just get this out of the way for the people that think they're Eagle Eyes Malone and are going to be getting headshots on this thing. Pax Bolt is an option. That's kind of a utility option, though. It increases your ability strength and ability efficiency on a headshot kill. Pax Seeker is typically your best choice for a headshot Kitgun. So on a headshot kill, it's going to project 4 projectiles, burst from the target, and seek other enemies. So that's usually your best Kitgun arcane for a headshot weapon. But the way we're building the Sporelacer, we're not really going to be going for headshots. So we have 2 choices. We have the choice of Pax Charge, which turns our Kitgun into a battery weapon. And then we have the choice to use one of these residual mods. So the residual mods are all pretty shit. But you don't really have a great choice on the Sporelacer. Like, you don't even really need to have it be a battery weapon because it's got a good ammo pool. But, like, your choices are battery weapon or these residual arcanes here. So residual boils are going to spawn little hives that burst for heat damage. Malador is going to spawn little frost pimples that do cold damage. Shock's going to spawn these, like, blue dildo tentacles that do electric damage. And residual viremia is going to do toxic pool that does toxin damage. It does absolutely piss poor amounts of damage, all of these. But you get the status effect out of it. You might get some CC, like the shock will give you CC. I think the fire will give you CC. So, like, I think those are the two best options, the shock or the fire, because you get the status and you get some CC out of it. But it's extremely minor, and it's only a 20% chance that you get that effect. So on a Kitgun kill, 20% chance to spawn one of your blue electric dildos. Or on a Kitgun kill, 20% chance to spawn one of your little fire pimples on the ground. So choose one of the residuals. I used residual shock for a long, long time, and then I've just recently switched to charge, just because this wasn't really doing anything really. Maybe I'll show shock off on this. Might be fun to show off those little blue tentacle dildo towers. Charge, charge, it makes it a battery weapon, basically. Everyone knows what a battery weapon is, so there's no point in me showing charge off. So I'll show this off with shock. That'll be fun. Okay, and that's how you build the Sporelacer secondary. Remember, the only thing that's different in this build that I think that you should do over what I did is use the splat. Let me go back here. Use the splat loader. Yeah, use a splat loader over the kill stream. And another thing, too, I actually have kind of a task for the people in the comments section, because I looked this up all kinds of crazily this morning, and I couldn't find a direct answer. And I just want to know, if you build this as a battery weapon, does your loader even affect the charge up? I guess that's the question. Because if it doesn't, then splat would obviously be better, because you would just have more shots to shoot before it charged up. But if it affects the charge up, then maybe the kill stream makes the charge up a little bit quicker, along with that like battery effect. But I don't know. I couldn't find that. I looked all over this morning for like half an hour, and the wiki says it does, and the wiki says the only thing that affects it is battery or not having the battery on. But then people in forums are saying it does affect it, but they're not sure, and this and that, and they're arguing, so I have no idea. So, okay, so that's Sporelacer. Because I don't mix this with anything, I'm going to be playing this on a Big Dumb on Naros with no Archon shards that affect weapon performance. No arcanes or mods on the Naros that affect weapon performance, and with a pet with no sentinel weapon and no mods on the pet that affect weapon performance. Okay, let me stop running my mouth and get into this gameplay here. I'm going to spawn some... Oh, I'm not on Steel Path. What was I doing? All right, once in a while, you'll see me press my 3 button to give myself armor and status immunity. I'm going to go ahead and pick up this little crystal. See, with kill stream, I have 7 shots before I have to reload. I think with splat, it's 11 maybe? Can't remember exactly what it is. So we'll get our conditionals up, and then we'll be slaying. Oh, I think I see a dildo tentacle up there. Oh my goodness. We got multiple. They're gonna form a little area, and they're just gonna start fucking spraying electric at them. One of the best things about it is people don't know what the hell is going on, and so they'll usually ask, who the hell is producing those tentacles? They're like, I don't think that's a Warframe ability. Someone is putting up these damn tentacles up in this place here. I guess the difference between this and the Brahma, maybe the Brahma is not the best comparison, because the Brahma can use Hunter munitions, of course, because it's a primary weapon. So you get the large slash procs out of it, where this one it's basically like its raw damage is what's producing the power of it, not the slash procs. So yeah, I mean, you can choose to have blue dildo tentacles, or you can choose to have a battery weapon. You don't technically need the battery weapon though, so don't feel bad about using blue dildo tentacles. Or the heat ones. The heat ones are probably good too. Well, by good I mean not really that effective, but they're fun. They're fun to see, and they at least produce a little bit of status here and there. Not a lot, but you know, a little bit. Yeah, the whole headshot thing, I feel like in this kind of a setting, it wouldn't be too bad to get headshots, because, you know, it's just hallways. People are lined up. It's pretty easy. But I think when we transition to, like, wider maps, the headshot build, like, kind of starts falling apart. Where the AoE build, it just stays consistent. It stays consistent the entire time. Yeah, if you guys, someone recommended the Sporelacer a while ago, and if you guys are interested in the other kit guns, let me know, and I can throw them to the list. I'll probably add myself the primary Sporelacer to the list, because I wouldn't want to just do the secondary and then not like show the primary like pretty soon after. So probably sometime this week I'll also do the primary Sporelacer. I don't remember exactly what the differences are. The primaries and the secondaries usually have some kind of a difference in how they act. I don't know exactly what the differences are to it, though. But when I do the primary build, I'll do a deep dive on it before I put the video out. We'll get some better info on it. All right, we're going to have the Acolyte coming. It's weird that you can shoot with a Naros while he's in that like little mode there. Oh, it's Mania. I was like, why are my projectiles being, yeah. This completely destroys Acolytes. Completely, Acolyte dumpsterer. It's a little bit weak against Eximuses, if you guys haven't noticed, though. It's not, like, horrible, like they'll die, but there was that one, electric. I don't know if he was getting healed somehow or something, but he was taking a while to kill. But obviously not great against Eximuses. Eximuses usually require, like, some kind of slash to be really good for him. Or, like, heavy heat procs. Heavy heat procs or slash. Look at that blue tentacle right there. Yeah, it's the weapon I use for my Steel Path Mirage, not my Nuke Mirage. My Steel Path Mirage that uses her little doppelgangers. I use the Sporelacer secondary with her. So she runs around and her and her doppelgangers just blast away these little AoE spores or whatever these things are. Two more minutes. We're getting pretty close to 1,000 subs. We're at 956, I think, last time I checked. So super close. I have all the stuff for the 1,000 subscriber hot tub stream going. I'm getting ready for that day. I know everyone's excited for that. Ordered like 2 gallons of baby oil. We got another Acolyte coming. This is an Acolyte like deleter. This is a really good Acolyte killer. It's unfortunately not great against Eximus is the only thing. If you went heavier on the crit side of things, like with the headshot build, it would be slightly better against Eximuses, but it still wouldn't be that great. You would have to go down the whole using the multiplicative nature of it, so you would also have to use Galvanized Shot. So you would have to use Galvanized Crosshairs, Galvanized Shot. You would put one of them over Sharpened Bullets, and you put one of them over Hornet Strike. So you'd lose a little bit of crit damage out of it, unfortunately. You've got more crit chance, though. But crit damage is better on this weapon than crit chances, the way it works. Just because of the numbers, because of maths. It has a high crit chance, too, though. So crit chance is still really good. It's just that crit damage is super, super good. You know, I probably should have got a few more kills before I was going over there trying to look for, all right, 693. That is really, really good. That is well, well above average. I think, I forgot what my little, like, tier list was that I had, like, the levels of it, but I think that could be, like, close to the excellent mark. There was, like, above average. There was average, above average, excellent, and then meta. So I think this would be considered excellent. Although you do have to kind of knock it a little bit because it's bad against, not bad, but it's not good against Eximuses. It's like, it can't, you have to kind of take a few points away from it because of that. I'm okay with a weapon that is bad against Acolytes, because you only fight Acolytes once every 5 minutes, and you can just whack them with your melee and they're dead. But Eximuses are all over the place. So for a weapon to be like not great against Eximuses is kind of a big hit. It wasn't horrible against Eximuses, just was not good. So it's not as big of a hit as some weapons, but it is a bit of a hit. So we'll do the next and last test on the Lua Circulus. 10 minutes here. Enemies are going to be higher level, 180 to 200. They're going to be mixed enemies, not just all Grineer. And it's going to force me to fight Thraxes, which are like super Eximuses. So that'll give a good idea on how crappy this weapon is against Eximuses. So once in a while, you'll see me press my 3 to give myself armor and status immunity. And we'll get into it here. Now, of course, if you didn't have sharpened bullets and you wanted to use hollow point, you could do that too. And you don't even have to aim in with hollow point. You could just hip fire it the whole time. But because I couldn't fit hollow point, because it's a little bit more expensive than sharpened bullets, I'm using sharpened bullets instead. So I'm having to aim in, which is, for me, I don't care. I have a habit of aiming in anyway. But if you're watching this and you're like, oh, I don't want to have to aim in, well, just use hollow point instead of sharpened bullets. They're about the same. 175 crit damage, 160 crit damage. Not a big deal. Here's Leech Eximus. These guys are usually pretty tanky. Here's a heal while you're shooting them, because you're usually standing in their little pits without knowing. Your leech fields. Yeah, as you can see, they're not very good. Not very good against that Leech Eximus. Now, obviously, going full-blown headshot mode with this and doing like crosshairs wouldn't be enough to make it good against Eximuses. You would have to use the condition overload and get direct hits with using its condition its multiplicative nature of the condition overload to actually like see a big difference in Eximus killing. But the unfortunate thing with that way, though, I'm standing in a leech field. I just saw him healing. I'm like, no! There's another one to my left. The only sucky thing about using that galvanized shot, though, is that it only affects direct hits. So, like, it's a whole mod that only affects the dude you're actually shooting and not, like, dudes that are getting hit by AoE. It's like, it's powerful, it's multiplicative, but it's only really working on the dude you're actually shooting. And as you see, we just kind of like dumbly shoot this in a group of enemies. Like, we're not really specifically aiming too good. You can if you want, but like, you don't really have to aim too well. You can just kind of shoot this in the middle of the group and it'll kill everything. But you can't do that with that galvanized shot build. So I guess that's up to you. Like I said, if you want to try that build out, you would have to use the other two galvanized mods, so crosshairs and shot, and you would remove sharpened bullets or hollow point, whatever one you're using, and corner strike. But I feel like that build's going to be a little bit more annoying to play, because it's more of a direct shot build. And actually, at that point, you might even consider getting rid of fulmination, because fulmination increases your AoE radius. And if you're building this for a direct damage build, you might not even need Fulmination at that point. I'm gonna hit one more. Little Warframe is down. Got Angst coming. He should get deleted by this thing. Any heavy alpha damage corrosive weapon basically just completely dumpsters the Acolytes. You know, it's not too bad against Thraxus so far. The hell was that? Just got hit by some kind of thing that I've never heard before. Alright, I'm going to hit that life support close to me, and then I'm going to run to the next room that life supports, I think. Might clean up this room a little bit, though, and try to get some yellows before I leave. Do some spring cleaning on these guys. Yeah, my list for stuff to do is getting pretty long. So if you've suggested something, just kind of stand by, and we'll get to it eventually. And somewhat like, I'm going to try to mix weird stuff in the middle of all like the regular weapon stuff, because like for me, I didn't do melees for a while, so I have to mix some melees in between doing the ranged weapons. So if you have melee suggestions, those are good ones to throw out, because I might get to those quicker than the ranged. And the same thing with like arc guns and stuff. Like someone suggested, I think yesterday, the Morga. And I'll probably get to the Morga this week, even though some of the ranged weapons I might not get to for a couple of weeks. Just because I like to mix some like weird stuff in with the ranged weapons. That way it's not an entire week full of just like, oh, this is the next primary weapon, and this is the next primary weapon. Oh, we got one secondary weapon. Like there's some other stuff mixed in between. Same thing with guides. Like if you want guides, make sure you let me know. Someone asked for a Spectre guide. And Spectres are something that I am going to admit I have never touched ever. My Spectre is still like whatever the default is. I have never used a Spectre. Well, not like the ones. So like there's different types. There's the Spectres you can just like get from like parent sequence. They drop when you kill like your dudes or whatever. I've used those. I don't use them a lot, but I've used those. But the actual Spectres you can like have a build out slot for, I have not touched ever. And some of them are really good. Like I know Nidus is a really, really good one because he gives a crap load of ability strength. So like I know he's a really popular one. But I only know this from third-hand information or second-hand information or whatever. You know, it's not like my own information that I know this from. So it's something that I'm going to have to get more information myself before I feel comfortable putting a build out on. I don't just want to like put out information, like throw some random shit together and of like, you know, half information or not really like that accurate. So Spectres might not be for a while because I'll have to get like probably a couple of months at least of play on them and using them before I feel comfortable doing a video. But other guides would be great, like suggestions for other guides. It's just the unfortunate thing is the guy suggested Spectres and I felt so bad. I'm like, that's the one thing in the game I have not fucking touched. I think I'm still sitting with just like my one default Spectre, like what is he, Excalibur, I think, or something. I have a crap load of the little blueprints or Spectre stuff that you can like summon them with. I just haven't actually made a loadout for them. Oh, he has Zephyr's buff on. So you see I'm trying to shoot him, and it's bouncing off and hitting things around him. So if I shoot the floor next to him, he'll take damage, because the AoE will go through his Zephyr shield. So that's how you deal with Mania. You shoot the floor next to him. Okay, let me hit this life support before the Thraxes come, and then I can fight the Thraxes. I should probably try to fight them out there, or they're spawn right here, aren't they? Let's see if I can get some more Merciless stacks real quick before I start. That should be enough. All right. I don't know why that guy stripped. Maybe he got hit by a friendly or something. I don't know. I don't have green shards on here. Alrighty. That's the 10-minute mark. We got 2 Thraxes down. We're at almost 600 kills. You do expect to get about 100 less kills than you did in the Cuba Survival, which is about right. That would be about like 700. I think we got like 700 and change, or was it 600 and change in the Cuba Survival? But yeah, it's about right from what you normally get. This is a very powerful weapon. You got to knock it down a little bit for not being the most powerful against Eximuses. You can make it more powerful against Eximuses, but then you're changing up your playstyle on it. Just because, I don't know if I actually showed this. It's not a straight firing weapon. There's fall off to it. So like, it's kind of like the Tonkor, where like, it's a little grenade launcher basically. So like, if this just shot straight, I would probably build it for headshots, because then it wouldn't be too bad. But it's like the Tonkor, you know, like it's as easy as getting headshots as the Tonkor, which is not the best. Maybe at close range, it's not too bad. But like medium ranges, when it start like, you know, the projectiles start falling, and long range is definitely not. So, again, you could build it that way with crosshairs and galvanized shot. I just don't think it's the best way. I think it's an annoying way and a little bit suboptimal, but you will technically increase your Eximus killing that way. Yeah, it's a really good weapon. I like it. It's one of my favorite kit guns in the game. For certain warframes that like AoE weapons, like Mirage's build with her doppelgangers. So if you liked it, consider giving it a like. If you haven't subbed yet, consider subbing, or tell me what I can do to earn your sub. And thanks for watching, guys. Hope you guys have a good day. Bye.